Look at the ground beneath your feet. It feels permanent. It is not. Earth is a shapeshifter. You live on a fleeting arrangement of rock. Mountains dissolve into sand. Continents tear themselves apart. Whole empires of biology drown. Forests once grew at the South Pole. Inland seas divided North America. A bridge of solid ice once connected continents across the Bering Strait. All are gone. The map of our world is only a single frame in a very long film. Over billions of years, entire ancient geographies were wiped clean. Today, we resurrect these lost continents. 8 immense lands that vanished from the map forever. Prepare to step backward into the cold shadows of deep time. We begin with number 8. Look beneath the tourist beaches of the Mediterranean. You are standing on a ghost, a forgotten continent. 240 million years ago, a massive landmass tore away from northern Africa. Greater Adria. It was the size of Greenland. For millions of years, it drifted alone across the Tethys Ocean. It became a paradise of sunlit tropical seas. Thick layers of coral and sediment built up over time, forming a heavy crust of solid limestone. But its isolation could not last. Europe loomed. 120 million years ago, the violent and catastrophic continental collision finally began. Greater Adria was shoved violently beneath the massive European plate. The entire continent was swallowed by the mantle, but the top layer of limestone was scraped off, crumpled like a rug. This shattered debris formed the Alps, the Apennines, the mountains of modern Europe. Greater Adria was completely obliterated, but soon, another ancient landmass would shatter. Just 8,000 years ago, Britain was not an island. It was the edge of a world. A sprawling peninsula connected it directly to mainland Europe. This was Doggerland, a vast rolling plain teeming with early human hunters. Meandering rivers wove through dense marshlands. Vast herds of red deer grazed in the cold morning mist. But the last ice age lost its grip. Temperatures soared. The great continental ice sheets melted. The oceans swelled relentlessly. Rising sea levels drowned the hunting plains foot by muddy foot. Then, a colossal underwater landslide triggered a massive tsunami. A towering wall of water swept across the islands. The dark North Sea consumed the last green refuge. Its ancient forests vanished beneath the freezing waves. A drowned kingdom. But land number 7 lies far deeper. 240 million years ago, a massive landmass tears away from the supercontinent Gondwana. This is Greater Adria, a sprawling lost continent of shallow tropical seas, teeming with ancient marine life. For over 100 million years, it drifts northward, a peaceful paradise completely isolated from the world. But tectonic boundaries are unforgiving. A catastrophic collision is inevitable. Greater Adria finally crashes headlong into the massive European plate. The impact is devastating. The Earth itself buckles and shatters, instead of fusing. Greater Adria is forced downward, plunging directly into the Earth's scorching mantle. Its thick upper crust is scraped violently off, crumpling upward to forge the towering, jagged alpine mountains. Today, the bulk of this forgotten world lies buried, nearly 1,000 miles beneath the Mediterranean Sea. Only jagged limestone peaks across Italy and the Balkans remain, scars of a continent dragged to hell. But further north, an icy paradise prepares to drown. Look deep beneath the tourist beaches of southern Europe. A ghost continent lies buried in the dark. 240 million years ago, a landmass the size of Greenland tore away from Gondwana. This was Greater Adria, a drowned world of shallow tropical lagoons and vast, sprawling limestone coral reefs. But the Earth is a restless machine. Over millions of years, this paradise was shoved relentlessly northward. It slammed headfirst right into the belly of primeval Europe. The tectonic collision was devastating. The leading edge of Greater Adria was forced deep into the mantle, but its uppermost layers were scraped off, crumpled into the massive mountain ranges we see there today. The Alps, the Apennines, the distant Zagros Mountains, they are the shattered remains of a lost world. The rest of the continent burned far below, a truly massive casualty of plate tectonics. But at least we know exactly where Greater Adria went. Number 6 just vanished into the dark without a trace. 240 million years ago, a massive landmass fractures from the southern supercontinent. Geologists now call this lost world Greater Adria. It covers roughly the exact footprint of modern Greenland. But it is no frozen wasteland. It is a shallow tropical paradise. For over 100 million years, this vibrant realm drifts slowly north. Then, it collides with the edge of Europe. The European plate acts like a bulldozer, forcing Greater Adria down into the molten mantle. The continent itself is swallowed alive, but its upper crust is violently scraped off and crumpled upward. These crushed upper layers form towering new peaks. Today, we call these rocky ruins the Alps and the Apennines of Italy. The continent never sank. It is simply folded into the European sky. But another ancient landmass meets a colder fate. Look at the Mediterranean Sea today. Beneath its blue waters lies a massive shattered corpse. Greater Adria is a continent the size of Greenland. 240 million years ago, it violently tears away from the southern supercontinent of Gondwana. It drifts northward into the ancient Tethys Ocean. Warm, shallow, massive coral reefs build layers of thick limestone across its flooded plains. But plate tectonics offers no escape. Europe blocks the path. About 120 million years ago, the doomed continent plunges beneath southern Europe. Its thick rocky crust is not entirely swallowed. The top layers are brutally scraped off. Piled, this crumpled limestone becomes the modern Alps and Apennines. Millions of people ski today on the twisted wreckage of Greater Adria. The rest lies buried deep. Greater Adria leaves mountains behind. But our next vanished world, Zealandia, simply sinks completely into the abyss. 12,000 years ago, the North Sea did not exist. It was a fertile plain. We call this drowned world Doggerland, a hunter's paradise. It was a thriving ecosystem, home to mammoth and lion, and to humans, following herds across the grass. But the Ice Age ended. The glaciers melted. The global oceans rose, creeping inward every year. Then, 8,200 years ago, an underwater landslide triggered a massive tsunami, devastating the coastlines. Walls of water swept across the lowlands, drowning everything in their path. The survivors fled to higher ground, and the remnants of Doggerland were swallowed by the sea forever. Today, trawlers sometimes drag up ancient bones, a haunting reminder of a lost world below the waves. But Doggerland was only a small casualty of shifting climates. An entire sunken continent awaits in number 3. About 80 million years ago, a vast landmass tears itself away from the edge of ancient Antarctica. It is a fertile realm the size of India, blanketed in dense rainforests, teeming with bizarre dinosaurs. This is Zealandia, the 8th continent of the prehistoric Earth. But its tectonic plate stretches too thin. Over tens of millions of years, it begins to sink. The lush coastal forests are slowly swallowed by the sea, driven down into the cold abyssal depths. Today, 94% of this lost world lies submerged beneath the freezing waters of the Pacific Ocean. Only its highest volcanic peaks remain above the breaking waves. We know these scattered mountain summits today as the rugged island chain of New Zealand, a flooded graveyard for a continent that slowly died. Zealandia succumbed to an agonizingly slow death by rising water. But halfway across the globe, another ancient world is about to drown. 240 million years ago, a massive continent breaks away from northern Africa. This is Greater Adria, the size of Greenland. It drifts north, towards the coast of Europe. For over 100 million years it thrives. Shallow tropical seas cover much of its surface, but the Earth is restless. A violent collision is completely inevitable. Greater Adria slams into southern Europe. The impact is slow, but it is absolute. The entire continent is dragged down into the mantle, subducted beneath the crushing weight of Europe. It is scraped raw. Only the top layers of limestone are left. These scraped rocks form the towering Alps of today, a lost world of beautiful shallow seas, now entombed deep below the mountains of the modern Mediterranean. Greater Adria was entirely devoured by the shifting earth, but the greatest vanishing act is yet to come. The mother of all continents awaits her end. To claim the #1 spot, we look to the sea, the cold waters of modern Europe. 8,000 years ago, Britain was not an island. A massive land bridge connected it to Europe. This was Doggerland, a rich heartland of marsh and forest. Herds of mammoth and deer roamed freely, but the Great Ice Age was ending. Ice melted. Global oceans began to rise, inch by relentless, crushing inch. The vibrant plains turned to salt marshes. The great heartland retreated into the encroaching waves. Then came the killing blow. A massive underwater landslide off the coast of Norway shattered the sea floor. It unleashed an oceanic mega-tsunami, a towering wall of water racing toward the low-lying plains of Doggerland. The waves swept across the basin. It drowned the remaining islands and everything that lived upon them. When the violent waters finally settled, Doggerland was entirely gone, replaced forever by the cold North Sea. Britain was severed, isolated from the continent forever. 8 vanished worlds, swallowed by time and tide. But what does this mean for our own future? We draw maps in ink. We mistake lines on paper for solid stone. But the Earth remembers. Beneath the waves and ice, ghosts of vanished continents still linger. Great mountains ground into dust, oceans swallowed by bare rock. The ground beneath our feet is only temporary, a fleeting shape in the dark. Every land we know will one day vanish, reclaimed by deep time. If you want to unearth more lost worlds, if you wish to witness the deep history of our living planet, join us. Subscribe to the channel. Together, we will continually trace the forgotten paths of ancient evolution. We will map the fragile lands that time erased. Look closely at the ground you stand on. What ancient sea once rolled above it? What vanished empire lies buried in the dark? Tell us your theories in the comments. And remember, the map is never truly finished.